Hey, welcome. Today, we're going to get into something really deep. We're going beyond the code that runs our computers to look at the code that creates meaning itself. So we hear it all the time, right? We're supposedly right on the brink of creating true artificial general intelligence. But what if that whole idea is not just wrong, but totally impossible with the way we're going about it? That's the big question we're tackling today. Is the AI we're building actually smart, or is it just an incredibly powerful mimic? To even start to answer that, we've got to unpack a huge mistake we've been making for, well, centuries. The source material for this explainer calls it the centralization error. And here's the thing, it's not a bug in AI code, it's a bug in how we humans think about intelligence itself. Okay, just look at the contrast here. It is night and day. On one side, you have nature. I mean, think about your own body. You've got trillions of cells working together perfectly without some central CEO telling every single one what to do. It's a decentralized, adaptive, networked intelligence. And then, look at the other side. That's us. Our systems, and by extension our AI, are all about top-down centralized commands, rules coming from a single boss. And that is the broken model we've been trying to teach our AI.
And this central command model, it leads to some pretty big flaws. You see, current AI is amazing at seeing correlations. You know, that B usually comes after A. But it has absolutely no clue why. It can't grasp cause and effect. And because of that, it can't come up with truly new emergent ideas. It just remixes all the patterns it's already been shown. The argument here is that this whole approach is just doomed. It's going to take more and more energy just to get a tiny bit better at guessing, all while being based on a flawed idea of what meaning even is.
So, if our model is broken, where do we look for a better one? Well, we go back to the original master programmer, nature. The answer isn't to build a better machine. It's to finally understand the powerful, ancient code that life itself has been using for billions of years to create meaning. And the heart of this natural code is a process called semiosis. Now, you've got to forget about thinking of the world as just data points. According to the philosopher C.S. Peirce, who came up with this, the entire universe is just swimming in signs. And semiosis is the active, non-stop process of interpreting these signs to make meaning. It's basically nature's operating system. So how does this work? It's pretty cool. Every single time meaning gets made, it happens in this three-part structure. First, there's a signal. Let's say you see smoke. Second, that signal points to an object, in this case, fire. But the real magic, the part our AI is missing, is step 3, the interpretant. Your mind, with all your unique experiences, creates meaning, like danger. And here's the kicker. That meaning, danger, immediately becomes the next signal in a new chain of thought. Current AI is completely stuck back at step 1.
And this process, it never stops. Every conclusion you reach becomes the starting point for a brand new question. This is what's called unlimited semiosis. It's the engine that drives all learning, all knowledge, all experience. It's a living, breathing flow, not just some static database of facts.
And this quote just nails it. Real intelligence isn't some giant brain in a data center crunching numbers. It's diffused, it's spread out across a whole network of independent agents, like the cells in your body, all computing and coordinating at the same time.
Okay, so we've got the problem, this centralization error, and we have the blueprint from nature. So the big question is, how do we actually apply this? Well, the source material proposes a solution. It's called the agapistic influence model, and it's a whole new way to think about building our own systems.
And what this means is we have to stop trying to build a better guessing machine. Seriously, the goal is not to just get a little more accurate at predicting the next word in a sentence. The real goal is to build a completely different kind of network, one that actually runs on the principles of semiosis, that active, meaning-making process we've been talking about.
And this is what it looks like. It's called the agapistic influence cycle. I know it looks a little complex at first glance, but it's really a beautiful, virtuous loop that copies what nature does. It all kicks off with you observing what's in your light cone of care, basically the stuff you can actually influence. Then you define your state, you prompt a change, and the system works to close the gap between where you are and where you want to be. And that new, better state becomes the starting point for the next loop.
So let's just boil that cycle down. It's a simple, repeating process. First, you observe what you can control. Then, you define the gap between what's real and what's ideal. Next, you prompt for a change. Then you let the system adapt and move forward. And finally, you repeat the whole thing from your new, improved starting point. It's just a constant, dynamic dance of adaptation.
A really key part of making this work is something called social prompting. Think of it as the human element in this whole decentralized network. Instead of rigid, top-down rules being forced on everyone, we start to create a system of voluntary, measurable contracts with each other that bubble up from the bottom up. It creates these amazing, flexible points of coordination.
So what's the big takeaway here? What does all of this actually mean for us? Well, this new way of thinking doesn't just change our technology. It totally reframes our role inside of it. It gives us a new, much more active purpose in this incredibly complex world.
This quote just sums it up perfectly. We're moving away from a next token prediction machine. A token is just a statistical guess, but a tokum, this new word, is a true unit of meaning. It's not just a word, it's an action, it's an intention. We're shifting from a passive guessing game to a dynamic network that actively knows by selecting the most meaningful way forward.
And that, right there, is the ultimate point. Our job is no longer to just sit back and passively consume whatever predictions and algorithms serves up to us. Our new purpose, our new primary function, is to become active prompters, to constantly observe, define, and push for changes that shape our digital, social, and even biological worlds for the better.
Which really just leaves us with one final big question. We have built our world on a centralized model that's clearly hitting its limits. So, are we ready to embrace a totally new way of thinking? Are we ready to shift from building artificial intelligence to what the source calls agapistic influence? A system built not on command and control, but on collaborative, maybe even loving coordination? The choice, really, is ours.